Good morning.
Good morning.
Heather, reverend clergy, and friends. Thank you for inviting me to bring greetings from the New Brunswick Council of the Catholic Women's League. I am pleased to join in this year's March for Life. Members of the Catholic Women's League across our province stand beside me today in support with united voices in prayer for respect of all life from conception to natural death. We as members see God in the destitute, the lonely, the disadvantaged, the ill, and those in palliative and hospice care. We challenge our government to provide programs to honor, respect, and protect every person from the moment of conception to the time of their natural death. We urge the federal government to recognize that human life begins with the process of fertilization. We, as members of the Catholic Women's League, continue to write to our federal, provincial, territorial ministers of health to protest the use of public funds to finance abortions, and especially the most recent approval of the RU 486 abortion pill. Across Canada, members pray for expectant mothers, pro-life organizations, and the volunteers. Our members volunteer for pro-life organizations, take part in the 40 days of life, and spiritually adopt an unborn child. Pope Francis reminds us of the need for prayer. He wrote, "Let us not underestimate the power of so many voices united in prayer." Our national theme, inspired by the Spirit, Women Respond to God's Call, is our focus for prayer and interaction. As League members, we are grateful to be part of this event that allows us to publicly support the work and mission of the New Brunswick Right to Life Association and to share our concerns for the dignity of all human life. We pray that we can make a difference in our world as we continue our dedication and work to promote the sanctity of human life. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Heather, for giving me this opportunity to address you this morning. I'm really happy to be here again this year to show our support for life. My wife, Doreen, joins me in saying thank you to the Knights of Columbus, to the numerous things that you're doing throughout the year to help people realize what's happening around us. You know, when I look at this province, I realize one thing. We are the majority of the people in this province that believe that life starts at conception and ends after natural death. And we are a majority. I represent over 12,000 Knights of Columbus that believe the same thing in this province. The only problem is that we are too much of a silent majority. And it is time that we stop being silent about what we feel, what we believe in, and I think we have to show our support and voice our opinion. And if we did, I can assure you, we wouldn't be ruled by this small minority that thinks that life has no meaning, and we know different. Alors, mesdames, mes frères chevaliers, mesdames, mes amis, je crois que on a, dans la province du Nouveau-Brunswick, on a une majorité des personnes qui croient à la vie, qui croient que la vie commence à la conception et se termine par une mort naturelle. nous sommes la majorité, mais nous sommes une majorité un peu silencieuse. Alors c'est fini le silence. Il faut donner nos opinions. Je pense que c'est le temps qu'on se prononce aussi sur le fait que je pense seulement qu'à la majorité des chevaliers de colon, qui représentent au-dessus de 12 000 membres dans la province du Nouveau-Brunswick, qui font partie de cette majorité-là, qui croient que la vie commence à la conception et se termine par une mort naturelle. Alors, c'est fini le silence. Il faut prendre toutes les occasions qu'on a pour manifester notre croyance à la vie et au respect de la vie. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Ms. Hewlett, and thank you, Ms. Clark, for your words of encouragement to us as well. And I'm reminded that I forgot to tell you who I am. I'm Heather Hughes. I'm the new executive director. I still say new because it's only been a few months so far. So please forgive me for all my failings and for forgetting things. But this is also my first March for Life, and I'm really impressed that you folks are there standing in the rain and it's cold. So your dedication is really an encouragement to me for sure, and I'm sure for the rest of us that work in the areas of life. So I'm going to ask now Peter Ryan to come forward. He's no stranger to you. He's been the executive director for many, many years, and I believe did 17 of these March for Lives, or I say March for Lives, or March for Lives, during his work with the New Brunswick Right to Life. So thank you, Peter. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you, folks, for being here today. Bonjour tout le monde. Yes, I have a different hat this year than I did last year, metaphorically and literally. And we're so blessed that Heather is in charge now. We are really blessed, folks. If you don't know that, you will know that. So, Reverend clergy, ladies and gentlemen, abortion is a serious problem here in New Brunswick. Assisted suicide and euthanasia are also now serious problems here in New Brunswick. My friends, in life, ideas are important. Ideas have consequences. Good ideas have good consequences. Bad ideas have bad consequences. Abortion is a very bad idea. The killing of an unwanted child in the womb to help his or her mother is truly a bad idea. And when you admit that bad idea into the law, great evil results. When the door to legal abortion was opened in Canada in the late 1960s, the initial number of abortions was not huge. But the power of a bad idea grew under the guise of choice, and it became taxpayer-funded abortion on demand everywhere in Canada, and over 1,000 babies a year in New Brunswick, paying the cost of that. The result is a disaster for children, for women, for the economy, for our province. But the bad idea of abortion did not stop there, because when you allow the taking of life at its beginning, you are predisposed to take it at other stages. So the bad idea of abortion has led to the bad ideas of assisted suicide and euthanasia. In 2016, Canada opened the door to killing the sick, disabled, and elderly, supposedly to alleviate suffering. Now, when you read the new law, it sounds somewhat restrictive. And when the statistics came out for the last 6 months of 2016, the numbers were not huge. 1,324 for Canada, 9 in New Brunswick. But beware the power of a bad idea. The present law features 3 key restrictions. It does not allow assisted suicide or euthanasia for minors, for reasons of mental illness, or when it is requested in advance of illness. So you can't say right now, if I get dementia someday, end my life. There's no setup for that right now. Right now. The federal government is already reviewing all three of those restrictions, and it may eliminate them. Mark my words, the bad ideas of assisted suicide and euthanasia will tend to evolve over time under the guise of choice towards assisted suicide and euthanasia on demand, all paid for by you and me. The same pattern as for abortion. And as it evolves, the number of victims will only grow. And it will not even stop there. The bad idea will go further, as it has in Holland and Belgium. People like Alzheimer's patients or children with disability will be euthanized, whether they want it or not, supposedly because they are better off dead. We have plenty to be concerned about, and it is also tragically unnecessary. Aborting unwanted babies is unnecessary. There are alternatives to help women in need. Killing sick and disabled people is unnecessary. There are alternatives to alleviate suffering, especially palliative care and expert pain management. Much more needs to be done to make these alternatives widely available. But there's still more to the power of bad ideas. Throughout Canada, doctors are under legal pressure to provide and expedite assisted suicide and euthanasia, even when it is against their consciences. So the ideology of choice is tending to rob Christian doctors of their choice. We need to stand with such doctors because otherwise they will be driven out of healthcare. In times like these, we look to government to address problems like abortion-assisted suicide and euthanasia. We need government to take action to reduce these problems and help eliminate them. We do not need government to facilitate these problems and make them worse. The question is, what kind of leadership will we have in New Brunswick? And we have unanswered questions about euthanasia and assisted suicide in New Brunswick. It's happening in our hospitals. Will it be happening also in our nursing homes, in our palliative care institutions? Those are answers we want. Those are questions we want answers on. We understand it's not going to be done in any of the Catholic health care facilities. How solid is that? We hope and pray it is. So we need leadership in this province that resists the power of bad ideas. Will we have leadership that instead embraces the sound idea that has guided generations of New Brunswickers, namely respect for all human life from conception until natural death, combined with compassionate help for those struggling with life's challenges? Today and in every age, the choice before us is between life and death. Today and always, may our choice, personally and as a community, be in favor of life. God bless you all. God bless New Brunswick. God bless the most vulnerable. And we are all non-disposable gifts of God. Are we not? Yeah. Thank you, God,
for being here in any kind of weather. The power of conviction is very important to the future of our province and the future of our society. And you certainly demonstrate that in spades and with a conviction that I, too, agree with. I think that we have an obligation, we have an opportunity. We also have an opportunity to ensure we can be better communicators. We can help those that are making difficult choices, that we can show that we are caring, we're a caring society. We want to ensure that in the long term we are improving our situation here in the province. So I don't intend to be long-winded, but I just want to say I'm proud of each and every one of you for being here. I'm proud of the conviction, which I say again I share, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you as we build a better New Brunswick in every single way. And thank you so much for today.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's Glenn Savoy. I'm the MLA for St. John East, and I just wanted to take a moment. I spoke here last year, and it was a very emotional time for me, and it still is. But I just wanted to thank you for your commitment, for your dedication, for your peaceful demonstration here today, respectful demonstration, and I think that it really exemplifies how important this is to people in this province. This is a decision that you can only make once, and somebody's life is taken away from them unjustly, unfairly, and unnaturally. And for all of you to be here today to make those kind of decisions, to say that I stand for life, I stand for what is right, I stand for every person in this province because they have a right to be here and to enjoy all of the freedoms and the responsibilities and to be fully engaged in this society. You're here for that, and I want to say thank you. So in closing, may the good Lord bless and keep you. Thank you for what you're doing. Please keep up the fight. We have to make sure that our views, the views of people who love and who care and want the best for every single person in this province, are respected and continue to be heard. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, I know you'll want to hear what she has to say. This is her first time going public. She's a young woman that grew up in an adopted family, and I'd like you to welcome Megan Barton.
Good afternoon. I want to tell you how important it is for you to be here defending life by sharing my story and how my birth mother chose life for her precious baby daughter 19 years ago. Everyone who has seen me with my parents cannot get over how much I look like both of them. The weird thing is, I am a chosen child. I was born on December 13th, 1997 in St. John, New Brunswick. I was adopted on when I was six months old by my wonderful parents, Lucinda and Douglas Barton, on June 25th, 1998. My biological mother was only 14 years old when she gave birth to me. She chose to give me life because I was her child from conception till birth, and I had the right to live the life that God gave me. My birth mother and I were in foster care together for the first 4 months of my life, where she loved and cared for me. As you can imagine, she made the decision that only a loving mother could do. She knew she couldn't provide for me at 14 and wanted the best for me. The next 2 months I was in foster care awaiting my chosen family. The day I was adopted, my parents brought me home to a house and a yard full of family and friends. It was an amazing day, according to all the video and pictures. My new family included grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. After I was adopted, I was given a life that many kids can only dream of. I have traveled to Disney, sailed on many cruises. I am blessed with my cat Fluffy, my dog Coco, my kitten Royal, and my fish Bentley. I graduated from Fredericton Christian Academy last June and just finished my first year at Dalhousie University and plan to be a veterinarian someday. Being adopted was never hidden from me. I always knew. From day one, I wanted to meet my birth mother, and despite some people telling me otherwise, I was never discouraged. Last August, I registered with Social Development to begin the search for my birth parents. In September, I was contacted by a social worker from Post-Adoption Services. I received non-identifying information about my birth mother, and a letter which I will always cherish. It was written the day I was adopted. When I got to the bottom of the letter, it was signed Natalie. And then, for the first time, I knew my mother's name. What a feeling. In November, I received a call saying that my birth mother was located in Ontario. And all I had to do to begin to talk to her was sign a consent form to give to the social worker to give him permission to give her my information, and she had to do the same. About a week later, I received an email containing her email and cell phone number. At first, I thought I would wait and email her later so I could say the right things. But as I was sitting there staring at the information that I waited for my whole life, I decided to email her. I told her I loved her. The 3 words she had waited 19 years to hear. The next day, I heard from my birth mother, and she had never stopped loving me. On December 4th, 2016, my biological mother traveled to meet me face-to-face for the first time in 19 years. At first, I was so scared and nervous, but as soon as I saw her, all my concerns went away, and I felt excited. Hugging my birth mother and talking with her was a dream come true, and was definitely worth the wait. Now we talk every day and continue to grow our relationship. That started the beginning of a wonderful, loving friendship between my birth mother and me. What more could a girl ask for? 2 precious mothers who love her dearly. I would like to thank Heather Hughes, Executive Director of MB Right to Life, for inviting me here today. Special thanks to my parents, my aunt, and cousins for attending and supporting me today. Please remember, 19 years ago, my 14-year-old birth mother didn't have the support of a women's care center or support of her family. But she knew right from wrong, and she knew that choosing life was the greatest gift she could give me. Be encouraged. Every life counts. Every life matters. Every life is a child of God. Please continue to support the MB Right to Life and the Women's Care Center. Your prayers and financial support is a life and death decision in the lives of many in New Brunswick. Always choose life.
Alyssa Gullett from Toronto. She's a Canadian human rights activist based in Ontario, and for 6 years she was the youth director of Campaign Life Coalition, and she traveled across Canada motivating young people to become active in the pro-life movement. She's been featured in numerous radio and TV programs, MTV specials, national and international documentaries, and she has represented Canada's pro-life youth movement at the United Nations, lobbying for women's rights for girls in and out of the womb. She has been a lead organizer for the National March for Life in Ottawa, and she is the eldest of 9 children and co-founder of the pro-life group Right Now. She's currently working towards her certification in healthcare ethics, so please help me welcome Alyssa as she comes to share her story with us.
Hello everyone, my name is Alyssa Gullett, and I support women's rights. I believe in a woman's right to education, her right to vote, her right for equal protection under law, and her right to equal pay for equal work. I believe in equality for all, non-discrimination, and justice for all. These beliefs define why I am pro-woman, I am pro-child, and I am pro-life. Women in this country have been fed a lie for over a generation. We have been told that in order to be equal to men, we must somehow become men. And we have been told that the only way we can become more like men is through abortion. It is an insult to the core of womanhood to say that the only way we can achieve true equality is to abort our children. Suffragette Elizabeth Cady Stanton once said, "When you consider that women have been treated as property, it is degrading to women that we should treat our children as property to be disposed of as we see fit." Not too long ago, a 19-year-old woman was standing in a hospital room awaiting the results of her pregnancy test. She was a first-year university student with no money and no intention or desire to becoming pregnant. "I'm pro-baby and everything, but I can schedule you an abortion." These were the doctor's first words after telling my mother that the pregnancy test was positive. We must ask the question, is this really what true choice looks like? Where was my mom's voice? Where were my mom's options? How many women all around us, just like my mother, experience this same scenario every day? Scared and alone, they are subject to immediate pressure to abort by their doctor, the person that they should trust the most. Each and every one of us here today is here because we, along with the majority of Canadians, say no to the status quo. We We are tired of women being harmed emotionally, psychologically, and physically by abortion. We are tired of women not having the options or resources they need to carry their pregnancies to term. We are tired of unborn children being systematically targeted in the womb, their lives terminated as a false solution to external problems. We are tired of being the only democratic country in the world with no law whatsoever on abortion. You are all here today because you have made a commitment. We have made a commitment. We cannot sit idly by while 300 women and their children are harmed by abortion every day in our country. Abortion is a reflection that our society has fundamentally failed to meet the needs of women. Feminist Maddie Brinkerhoff once said, "When a man steals to satisfy hunger, we can safely assume that there is something wrong in society. So when a woman destroys the life of her unborn child, it is evidence that either by education or circumstance, she has been greatly wronged." Women are driven to abortion by the lack of resources and support, laws to protect them and their children, and a medical system that views pregnancy as a disease. Instead of addressing these fundamental problems, legislators and abortion advocates tell women that abortion will empower them and free them of their problems, when the truth is all it does is leave them isolated, wounded, and alone. It has been 48 years since abortion was decriminalized. It has been 48 years since common sense legislation in Canada protecting women and children existed. You are here because you have the commitment and determination to see this change. You are willing to stand up for those who cannot speak for themselves. You are the voices, and you are their change. The time to be effective and strategic and results-driven starts right now. Despite our best efforts, what we've been doing for 48 years hasn't worked. We need to either perfect our strategies or discard them for better ones. It's time we stop doing what's familiar and comfortable. It's time we stop doing the same things we've been doing for 20 years and try something new, something effective, and something that works. Political change begins with pro-life politicians. There are 5 million registered pro-life voters all across Canada who believe the same things that we do. We can influence the political process more than any other advocacy group in the entire country. There are enough of us to fundamentally change the landscape of our democracy through nomination meetings, general elections, and by-elections. The change starts there, in the grassroots. In the last federal election, we went from having 80 pro-life MPs in the House of Commons to less than 40. We lost over half of our voices in Parliament. Yet if every single pro-lifer who attended the National March for Life in Ottawa chose to get involved in the political process and joined a campaign team for their local pro-life candidate, we could have drastically changed the outcome of the last federal election. Rather than losing pro-life MPs, we would have gained more. And after one election, we would have had that pro-life majority that we need to succeed. That change starts with you, and that pro-life supporter can be you. You are the army. You are the foot soldiers, and you have the power to make that political change. The politicians in New Brunswick, the pro-life politicians in New Brunswick, they need your support. They need you to keep them in office. They need you to elect more pro-life politicians to have their backs, to ensure that we have a majority of pro-life MLAs in the provincial legislature. When we are able to nominate and elect pro-life politicians from every political party and the majority of ridings across New Brunswick, we can start passing that pro-life legislation. If you want to help women, if you want to save children, if you want to make Canada a safer place that protects and values human rights, join the fight. After the march, starting at 2:30, I will be speaking at the Knights of Columbus Hall about how we can start winning politically in the pro-life movement. Do not let this chance to make a difference pass you by. Join me in changing our country into a place that upholds human rights for all human beings. My mother courageously chose life because she knew she was strong enough to have her baby. She knew she was bold enough to withstand the pressure, and she was empowered enough to say yes when the world was telling her no. Today, we stand in solidarity with women coerced into abortion because they felt they had no choice. We stand with women who are vulnerable because their schools or workplaces cannot accommodate their needs as mothers. We stand with women who have been betrayed and who have underestimated their own strength. We stand with women who have experienced abortion and are silent no more. All people are equal, but not all choices are equal. Today, we stand for a better country, a country where womanhood is celebrated, where mothers are supported, and where every child is cherished. Today, we say no to the status quo and yes to women's rights from the womb to the tomb.